Discipline is a form of self-love. So putting yourself through tough things is the highest form of caring.
A few years ago, my mom had cancer. And my mom, she's an amazing, hard, woman. She's like
Fighter.
a fighter, a big fighter.
I hated sales. I could not stand it. I'm talking sweaty palms, nervous that the client is going to ask me a question that I didn't want to deal with. It was like, you know what? I don't believe you're telling me.
I'm not an idealist. Some people are like idealists, like, man, like things are going to be well. I'm going to start the company and my wife's going to make me happy. And at the same time, all my employees are super satisfied and everything's working. And now I have to create a sales system. That's an ideal world.
On Friday, his son called me, yelling in the phone, like completely just crestfallen, crying. Mr. Paul, you were here. I saw your car. You got into a car accident in the morning.
Today's guest is a man who's been called the sales whisperer for a reason. With 25 years and 50 industries, Coach Paul has a gift for turning those cringy, awkward sales conversations into effortless, high-converting conversations. No fluff, no endless PowerPoints. Just the real strategies that are actually going to make people want to buy from you. If you're ready to stop pushing products and start pulling in customers, lean in. Coach Paul is about to flip your sales game on its head. Paul, I have a question, and a lot of people actually share the same experience as you. How did you, a kid who absolutely hated sales, hated hard selling, like many of us, end up coaching sales teams internationally? You're in Dubai right now, you've worked in the US. How did that happen?
Great question, man. First of all, so happy to be here. Thank you so much for, thinking enough of me to invite me to your platform, to your podcast. It's really a privilege for me. Yeah, this is true. I hated sales. I could not stand it. I'm talking sweaty palms, nervous that the client is going to ask me a question that I didn't want to deal with. What changed was when I completely sold myself, right? The most important sale that has to happen with a salesperson is the one they make to themselves. So my struggle with sales in the past was because I wasn't completely sold on what I was doing or the leadership of the company or the path they were taking. There was something I was in disagreement with. The moment I started really forcing myself to love it is when I sold myself on the deliverables and the customer's experience, and then also my contribution into the whole thing. So the first sale is the one you make to yourself. Otherwise, it's an uphill battle.
I love that, because the truth is, I think everyone foundationally sells already, because if you go to an amazing restaurant, you get all your friends to come back the next time with you because you're not selling them on it. You're just you're so obsessed with the food. It was so nice. It was amazing. You come back, your energy on its own kind of gets people to think, I want whatever he's just had.
Yeah.
And a lot of the times when I speak to people who are struggling with sales, especially salespeople, so not the owner of the company, it's usually like, I don't really believe in what I'm selling. I'm just here for my commission.
Correct.
I just want to feed my kids.
Yeah.
So I love the fact that you're coming straight out of the gate. I wasn't sold on the thing that I was selling, and hence I hated sales.
Yeah.
And now what changed? Like, what happened?
Yeah, well, I bought in. And you're right about it. Sales is something we do naturally, right? Naturally. A sale is happening right now. And we're also unselling ourselves on the other side. So we do this naturally. It's taking the action to close, getting the person to do an exchange. That's where most people struggle with. When I started learning that sales and closing are two different things, by the way, all the reward happens when you close. When I started realizing that there is an exchange that has to happen, and if that exchange doesn't happen, the customer loses the most. Time, money, and so on. That's when I started realizing, oh my goodness, I have a very important job to do. I have to get you to take what I'm selling. Otherwise, nothing happened. No value was created, right? It's almost like I had to brainwash myself to realize that if I don't get you to take my offering, I wasted your time. Like, you could have just gone online and looked at it and blah, blah, blah. But if you're in front of me and I don't get you to take it, then what am I doing this for? Like, I'm a waste of time. So that shift happened, and I've always led with service. To me, I'm a servant first. right? I want to give you more than you expected, and then give you more than you expected, and then give you even more. Because I operate in that place, I know that if I give, I'll get. And so whenever I gave and I wasn't able to get, I started learning how to close, and it changed everything.
So it sounds like what you're saying is you had a distinctive aha moment that made you realize that if you didn't serve somebody with the product or service that you're offering, their life did not change. And that's what you mean by I've wasted my time. Not because you want the commission, but because you've done them a disservice,
Yeah.
and now their life's not going to change.
Yeah.
And you realize that.
Yeah. In fact, I wasted their time. Right? Me was a distant secondary thought. If I'm in front of you and you're in front of me and you're looking for a solution, by the way, there's only two reasons people buy anything: to either solve a problem or because they love it. Right? You got a gorgeous watch. Your phone has a clock. You don't need that watch.
Yes,
right?
Yes, very true.
You got it because you love it, right?
But we convince ourselves that we need it. When
correct.
really we don't need it.
Correct.
No one ever needs it.
No one really needs it. You need water, you need a roof over your head, clothes, yeah, and food. That's all you need. Everything else is because you want it. Now, we need that. We need to want things because that's what keeps the world in flow. But if you're in front of me and it's typically because you want to solve a problem and I don't get you to take what I have, I've wasted your time. In fact, I should apologize to you. That's a close in and of itself, the apology close. I should apologize to you for not being able to come to an agreement with you, right? Is this something I said? Is this something I didn't say? That close has turned things around at the end. Right when you're leaving the engagement and you stop and do the apology close, sometimes the guy will come back and be like, you know what, let's do it. And so to me, it's a huge level of responsibility that I take on myself. It's my fault. If you don't buy it today, that's my fault.
In your opinion, why does the apology close work? And can you just tell us a little bit, for someone who's listening, not really that familiar with sales, they want to grow their sales skill or even their sales team, but they're like, what is an apology skill?
Yeah.
Imagine you're talking to a 5-year-old. What is the apology close and why does it work so well?
Okay, let me start with why it works very well. It's a guilt thing, right? It's a very high level guilt thing where the customer is telling me, I want to think about it. I'm not sure. Let me speak to my spouse. Let me check out the other quotes. And you work around it. They see you making an effort to get them to use the thing. And then at the end, you go, okay, well, we'll follow up next week. By the way, can I ask you something? But I must say I apologize. I apologize to you because you've spent your time, you've met me, and we were unable to get to an agreement, right? Was this something I said? Was it something I didn't say? Both times the customer will be like, no, you were fine. You were good, Hussein, you were good. All right, then let's get this done. Instead of you spending more time, which is money, looking for a solution, evaluating other solutions, let's do this now. Half the time, the customer will ask you another question. Tell me more about the blah, blah, blah. Now you're back in the sales.
That's the real objection.
Yes, that's the real objection, typically, right? But I'll show clients how to get to the real objection before you get here. For a 5-year kid, it's just another way to ask for the close. Typically, it takes about 6 or 7 asks statistically before the person really considers giving you the business. But most salespeople, after 2-3 asks, they're like, he's not interested.
It's because they don't have the awareness that it takes 5 or 6
yes,
or 7
or
asks.
they don't have the other options on how, because I just can't keep asking you, you want to do it, Hussein? Do you want to start? It becomes monotonous and boring. I have to be creative and ask you in different ways. Yeah.
Nice. It's interesting actually because I've been doing the apology close without knowing about the official term of it. I always say to people, hey, like, what did you need to see, hear, or feel in order for you to have, made this decision today?
Yeah.
And like you said, they'll either say, oh no, it's nothing, but I'm just curious about this thing. Do you take payment plans? Do you, my wife said X, Y, Z. So that's really interesting. I was doing it without even knowing about it. So look, in the same, let's go back to kind of like your credibility or, part of the place that helped you become such a great closer, the 10X headquarters in Miami.
Yeah.
What was the single biggest 10X lesson you took from that time in Miami at the 10X headquarters?
Yes, that's a good one. There were so many. What stands out the most, and what changed me the most when I was there is the understanding that attitude is not a feeling. Attitude is a decision. Right?
Let me sit with that. Attitude is not a feeling.
Yes.
It is a decision. Tell me a little bit more.
Regardless of what's happening around you, to you, because of you, whatever, you decide how you're going to respond. Right? So you don't feel bad because you've had 20 negative calls. You decide the 21st call, I'm going to show up fully. Now, there are a couple of things that have to happen in the background for you to have this kind of attitude. Number one is I'm sold on this thing. I know that if you use my product, your life will get better. And by the way, nobody will look after you better than I will. You have to keep selling yourself on this idea. After that, you don't allow feelings to move you, to move how you respond. You decide. Attitude is a decision. It's not, I feel bad, the weather's not good, or blah, blah, blah. It's, man, I'm grateful for this opportunity, and I'm going to step into the marketplace and make an impact. So that's what I learned the most. Attitude is a decision, and the way I show up is going to be the first step of my success, the first rule of my success.
You know what? I want to touch on something because it's come up like 3 times in the past. I don't know. I think we've been speaking for 5-10 minutes. Selling yourself on a product or a service. I think that is the thing that's going to create that attitude that's going to allow you to become, or be the difference between a mediocre salesperson and a high-performing salesperson. And I think I often share this behind closed doors, but I'm going to share it for the first time publicly. If you ever saw the product or service that you're offering as important as life and death, you will not accept no for an answer. And this is what I'm going to share publicly that I've never said
100%.
before. That a few years ago, my mom had cancer. You know, and it was a tough time. And during that time, after a chemo session, she was having a very, very bad reaction. Now, I'm not saying the word because I later on found out this was the thing. All I understood was she did not look well, right? This woman was pale, throwing up, cold shivers, all sorts of stuff.
Yeah.
And my mom, she's a amazing, hard, woman. She's like
Fighter.
a fighter, a big fighter. And she said, I don't want to go to the hospital. Say, Mom, you need to go to the hospital. I don't want to go to the hospital. You need to go to the hospital. I don't want to go to the hospital. Now, in that moment, you have a decision. Do you, this thing that you don't know about, you clearly don't look too well, do you say, that's fine, you need to think about it?
There you go.
Yeah, do you need to think about it? Or do you say, I don't care. I see something you don't see.
Yes.
I'm not taking risks.
Yes.
Your life is dramatically going to decrease in value for the rest of the day.
Yeah.
In that moment, I'm not a doctor at the end of the day. I just knew that this thing is life and death. My mom kicked, she screamed. Obviously, I did not pick her up and physically move her, but I just kept at it. Listen, you need to go to the hospital, get dressed, let's go, blah, blah. Got her in the car, she gets to the hospital. She turns out to have sepsis. The doctor says something along the lines of, if she didn't come in for the X amount of hours, she would have died. She would have died. She would have been dead.
Alhamdulillah.
Right? So I want to come back to this. I want to emphasize this point so early on in this conversation because I think a lot of us, either we start with the fact that we have massive belief in what we're trying to sell or serve, and somewhere down the line we just get so complacent and it becomes familiar and it's just another school, or like everyone else, we just got bills to pay and we just took this insurance job, we just took this selling this thing job, like gym membership job, and we're just doing it because we don't really care about the membership. We just care about paying our bills, and we lose this, we lose sight of what's really at stake.
Yes.
Like, for example, if you're selling life insurance, this is another story. I'm really going to hammer this home. I know it's early on. It's another story. This is a true story that happened with a salesperson that used to sell insurance that I used to coach. I'm not going to say his name. This guy used to do really, really well. He used to do like 10, 20K a month in sales for insurance.
That's good for insurance.
And he wanted to get to the next level where someone else in his office was doing crazy money. I think it was 50, 60K. And he could never break through. And I always said to him, look, in sales, you got to make it real. Because you're on the phone selling life insurance, and it's like this thing that, it's like just life insurance. No one really believes they're going to die, although we know we're going to die.
Yep.
And it was never real for him. And then one day, the phone rings, and it's a lady on the phone, and she says, hey, so-and-so, I'm just calling you because I want to know how to claim.
That's happened to me.
And he says, sorry, who are you? She says, oh, my husband said he spoke to you a month ago, signed up for life insurance, passed away. Now this man had to explain to her that her husband said he needed to think about it. And you see? And immediately it became so real to him.
Yeah.
In the next 7 days and moving forward, I never had to explain to this guy again why he needed to make the sale real and, sit down every day and write down 15 reasons why this service and product is for the client and in their benefit and what's the pain of not doing it and all these strategic little things. I never had to explain that again.
Yeah.
It was that real. And I think a lot of the times we're not sold in that way.
Yes.
So I just wanted to highlight that.
Yes. That's a great point. Great point. The almost identical thing happened to me in Miami. Because before I worked at Cardone's, at 10X, I sold mortgage insurance. There's a product in America where it's like a living insurance. If you get hit with any one of these 7 diseases, you can claim the money without dying. Like liver disease, renal failure, heart attack, stroke. There's this product. And the insurance policy is actually very, very cool because the insurance companies play the stock market. And if there are gains, you partake in the gains. But if there are losses, you never lose your money. I was selling this product. I met a family, husband and wife, met the family, pitched. Husband said, this was like on a Tuesday, true story. On a Tuesday, husband said this, Paul, meet us on Saturday, we'll sign up. On Friday, his son called me, yelling in the phone, like completely just crestfallen, crying. Mr. Paul, you were here, I saw your card. Please just give me an idea of how to go through the claim. And I was like, who is this? Jamaican family. And I was like, your father told me that I should meet them tomorrow. They got into a car accident in the morning. Both husband and wife passed. So that is a real deal. The way, it's one thing to, in theory, say, sell yourself on the product. A good way to do it is to look at testimonials. Look at what others who have used your product have said. It could be a florist company. It could be an insurance company. It could be construction. It could be anything. You could even call customers to get them to sell you as to why what you're doing matters, right? Because it's one thing to just write why you guys are the best, like you said, the strategic things. But when you get some people telling you, hey, before we met you, we had issues dealing with other companies helping us through this. After meeting you, we loved how clear you guys were, how professional you were, how much you helped us. Then you resell yourself, right? Because if you're not doing that, then just look for something else to do. Life is too short, way too short, for you to be struggling to try to fit this square peg into a round hole. Like, if you're not completely sold on being a parent, being a husband, being a boyfriend, a girlfriend, being a salesperson, man, look, do something else. But if you're doing this, be all in. It's actually more laborious. It's more work to be lazy than it is to just go all in. It's more costly, time, effort, energy, money. Your resources are less spent when you go all in than when you try to retreat from the action. Going all in is just the best way to do it. It saves you time, saves you money, gives you better results versus you having an attitude of, I'm just committed to paying my bills.
I'm trying to withhold my resources.
Correct.
What if I run out of stamina? Exactly.
Or why am I even doing this? This is not my father's company. All right, then do something else. So number one, sell yourself.
Today's whole Gen Z, millennial, blah, blah. I'm just coming to work. I don't own the company, blah, blah. I don't want to make another man rich.
Correct.
Before I move on, I just want to take into consideration the listener. Because we have a wide range of people listening, people that are doing like 50 million a year and someone who's just starting out a company. Someone who's just starting out a company is thinking, I don't have that yet. In my mind, I tried to make it real, but it's not real. It hasn't happened to me. In that case, I just want to say, for whoever's listening, you can listen to other people's stories. You can listen to the stories that me and Paul just shared. And you may have not closed a sale yet, but you might be in a position where someone gave you an objection, didn't go with you, went with another company, and you found out later on that you met them or you spoke to them or you followed up and they said, hey, we went to this other company and they did an absolutely terrible service. I wish I went with you, but now I've run out of budget. Actually, this is a true story. One of my clients, I'm not going to mention his name, he owns a massive construction company in Australia. one of the things that made it real for him, we worked on sales a lot, is people calling him up saying, hey, I'm in a position right now where I don't even have the money to pay you anymore to fix the mess, but I went with the other company and they messed me about. What do I do? And he's like, well, I can't do it for free. It's not like he's just giving advice. It's real. Materials cost money.
Correct.
So that made it real for him, and now his sales are going through the roof. Another story would just be like, hearing stories. Like, it's not that difficult today on social media. You can just hear stories.
Yep.
Like, listen to other people's horror stories if you don't have your own horror stories yet, because it has the same impact. It has the same effect.
Yeah.
And you can tell clients as an objection handler, before we move on to attitude of sales, before we get to objections, but you can tell clients, hey, I heard about this thing. I don't want you to be this person. I heard about, this colleague of mine who was selling life insurance and this happened. You don't have to lie and say this happened to you. You say, look, I heard about this thing if you're starting out. So I tried to make sure I leave that there for someone who's starting out. Like,
Correct.
It doesn't have to be your story. You can listen to someone else's story. So now I want to move on to attitude.
Yeah.
You say attitude outranks strategy.
Yeah.
What does that look like? Before I ask the question, I'm not an idealist.
Yeah.
Some people are like idealists, like, man, like things are going to be well. I'm going to start the company and my wife's going to make me happy. And at the same time, all my employees are super satisfied and everything's working. And now I have to create a sales system. That's an ideal world.
Yeah.
You feel good. You've already got a good attitude.
Right.
But we know that this is not, I'm not an idealist. It doesn't work that way. You've got the kids, you've got the wife, you've got the house, you've got the health, you've got your mum. Lots happening at the same time. And the company KPIs, the key performance indicators, are going down. We're making less money.
Yeah.
And all of a sudden, not because I want to, as a CEO, as a founder, have commission breath, but I'm in a mindset, an attitude of scarcity.
Yeah.
Because we've got to turn it around. Payroll's coming up. The rent's coming up. So now I ask you the question. You say attitude outranks strategy.
Yeah.
How do you create that? What does that look like when a CEO's pipeline is flat and they're almost having a challenge?
Yeah. That's difficult. That's clearly very difficult to turn the boat around. Yeah. So your purpose, why you do anything, is your pitch to yourself, right? You have to be very clear on why you are engaging. Now, if you are committed just to pay bills, you're not going to be completely dedicated to do whatever it takes, because you just want, you're looking to survive. Your purpose, why you are present in this earth. I'm talking big now. Somebody could
Bigger
think,
than sales.
Yes, bigger than sales.
Bigger than the end of the month payroll.
Bigger than the end of the month payroll, man. Look, sales is very difficult because you're dealing with human beings. And human beings are going to let you down. The closest people in your life, they're going to disappoint you. In fact, you're going to disappoint yourself a lot of times because you're human, right? The way to not feel rejection, the way to not feel disappointment is to have a big pipeline. That's going to require a lot of action. You're going to have to deploy resources, energy, effort, time, and money to have a big pipeline. You're not going to make that investment in yourself unless you're clear about your purpose. It all starts from the soft skill side. Then we'll get into actual skills to make people close deals. But if your purpose is off, your pitch to yourself is off. And then when you don't have a purpose, you start losing belief, right? When you lose one deal or one client ghosts you and your purpose is not strong enough, your belief starts to drop. Now, when your belief is weak, you fall for anything. You fall for any job, any relationship, any solution, because your belief is not strong. When your belief is strong, then you know that you will win. The only way you don't win is when you quit. So it's behind the scenes. There's no magic pill to make a CEO drowning to just turn. Like this is life. Before you got to that drowning stage, you did a lot of wrong things before things got to that code red danger place. You know what I mean?
Yeah, yeah.
But it starts with your purpose. When your purpose is alive, that's when the apology closes even stronger. And people could tell, man. People could tell if you're in it just for the transaction or if you're in it to be like a partner. I'm looking to partner up with you. This is not just a sales exercise. I want to make sure that your outcome is exactly right because I want to be next to you. When you show up with that sort of determination, you will win.
I have a question. The question is this. ironically, it's weird. I found that the people who care too much
Yeah.
are terrible salespeople. And to some extent, the people that are nonchalant are like absolute beasts.
Yeah.
How you find, and obviously this is a prerequisite, you have to agree with this assumption. If you
Yeah.
don't agree with it, then the question doesn't stand.
Mm-hmm.
But in that case, I think it comes down to like the people that care too much are too attached.
Yeah.
And as a result, they can't serve the person with the product or the service or the thing. And they come to someone like me or even you and be like, oh, I care so much. Why aren't they paying me?
Yeah.
Their life, da, da, da. And the other person is like nonchalant. They're just like,
Yeah.
they're committed,
Yeah.
but they're not attached. How do you solve that?
The
For
guy,
someone who's like,
the guy who cares too much is confusing caring with being nice, right? Like, I want to be a friend. I want to be like, I want us to dance kumbaya. That's not caring. The same way discipline is a form of self-love. So putting yourself through tough things is the highest form of caring, right? It's the same way that in a sales cycle, I'll ask you hard questions. The guy who cares too much wants you to like them. I don't necessarily want you to like me. I want you to solve your problem. I want you to explode.
That's
I
it.
yes,
That's the answer, man.
yeah, and
That's
I
the
know
answer.
that for you to get better, you have to go through pressure. Even me asking you for the sale 5, 8, 9, 11 times, it's pressure. But I'm doing that because I know when you do this, you will explode. So my goal is a year from now, I want you to say meeting Paul was the best decision I made. That's not going to happen unless we there's a little bit of friction. And I ask you hard questions. And a very good hard question that you could ask the person is, Hussein, I'm looking at you, looking at me, and there's something you don't trust about what I'm telling you. What percentage of what I'm telling you do you not believe? Or do you believe?
So calling out the elephant in the room.
Calling out the elephant
It's
in
already
the room.
there, anyway.
Yeah, it's already there. You have this unspoken objection you haven't told me. You're hiding behind talking to your wife or the price, but there's something else that's making you hesitate. So I bring it up. I'm like, man, how much of what I'm telling you do you believe is true? 10%? 50%? I've done that before, and the guy just started laughing. He was like, you know what? I don't believe you're telling me. And then now we are completely engaged.
Yeah. Well, look, I want to go back to you saying there is no magic pill, but I want to say if there was one, because while you're saying this, I'm like thinking of people that I'm actively speaking to that will just never say that only because they're such nice people and they're like scared to call it out. I'm a person who like is cutthroat. I will do it.
Yeah.
But I'm also thinking of the people that I know that would just never say something like that. Hey,
Yeah.
I don't think you believe me. So you said there's no magic pill, but if there was, you know, what is one habit that any founder or person who's serving someone with a client, you know, as a service, can do tomorrow morning to start to work towards flipping that switch towards having the attitude of sales? Because I believe there's a mathematical formula, and I would write this down, honestly, if I'm listening. Rituals plus routines equals the peak performance, the result, the sale in this case, or the lack of, right? So if you're doing really well in sales, usually if you reverse engineer the maths equation, you have a ritual, you have a routine, you put them together, and as a result, you got the result, and then vice versa. You have very negative rituals. Maybe you're thinking about all the, there's something called PTSD in sales, post-traumatic sales disorder. You know, the person cancels the sales call, and all of a sudden you're like, thank God, right? So I'm really hammering this home, but if there was a magic pill, what is that magic pill for someone who is listening can take tomorrow morning, which is one ritual, attitude, routine, switch thing?
Man, I'm learning a lot from you. A lot from you. You know, I mean, you're a successful coach, and I can't wait to learn more from you, because what you said about rituals and routines is exactly the magic pill. So systems, SYSTEM, system. Save yourself time, energy, and money.
Save
yourself time, energy, and money.
I'm learning a lot from you,
Yes.
man.
Or save
yourself
stress, time, energy, and money.
Save yourself stress.
Yes.
Time.
Those are routines. If you build a system, like me, I wake up and I go through the same thing every morning. Right? My father was God to me. God. When my father died, I didn't talk about him for 3 years. Otherwise, waterworks. I just start crying. My father left me a book this high of letters. And back then, when I read the letters, I'll just look for the part where he says, I sent you money. If there was no part in the no money part, I chucked it away. I was like, man, I'm so tired of this crap. I need money. What's the money? Of course, I'm 19, I'm 20, I'm 21. But my father's letters were like Tony Robbins lectures today. I didn't realize it until I got older. And I realized my father was a motivational speaker. Like,
Release them, man.
he was incredible from everything. He was giving me instructions because I'm the oldest child. He just kept giving me instructions. Do this. Make this kind of friends. Don't do this. When you visit people's homes, behave like this. So I wake up in the morning. I pray. I read my father's letters. One letter. It could be one page. But I read it slowly. And I look at everything, how he curved his D, where he put the comma. I actually go into the experience with him. I imagine him writing it. Then I go to the gym. Then I write my goals. Every morning I write my goals. The big goals, I want to have property in these countries. I want to bring in $500,000 every month in revenue. Not so I could buy a Lamborghini, but so I could be an angel investor and help 1,000 entrepreneurs in the GCC and in Africa. I write all these goals that I don't know how they're going to come about. But that routine gets me into a mind state where if I don't do what I got to do that day, I'm letting down my goals. I'm like failing on my goals. It's not an easy thing to do. It requires a lot of practice.
Yeah.
But systems, look, if you are a business person, you have to spend at least 2 hours a day prospecting. At least every day, right? If you've plateaued on your business and you can't add any more to your calendar, no problem. But if you want to expand and hire more people, every business salesperson needs to spend between 2 to 4 hours a day prospecting. That's something that should be in your system.
I'm going to say something that you told me in private.
Yeah.
Because I think this is an amazing story and people really need to know what it takes to get sales, man. You arrived in Dubai. The thing is, you're like a diamond in the rough, man. Like, there's a lot of people that took a lot of out there that have like 600,000 followers, haven't got a clue. And you're like a diamond in the rough. You're like the real deal. So
thank you.
This is what most people don't do. I want you to tell people listening the story. You arrived in Dubai and then you landed in Business Bay and did what?
Yeah.
So tell us that little story. I want you to tell me and everyone else.
Okay.
Listening.
Yeah, absolutely. So I'm in Dubai. I've never been to this part of the world. I don't know anybody. Zero.
Can I just pause you there?
Yeah.
The reason I want you to tell this story, and for anyone listening, why do I want to? Because people aren't really aware of what it really takes. They're like, oh, I'm just gonna like go and speak to one person in a month.
No.
And why don't I have sales?
Yeah.
So I think a lot of time awareness is the first step to the cure.
Very true.
Because people are looking at people who have now success and go, how comes he's successful? But they don't really see what happened behind closed doors. Tell us what happened behind closed doors in Dubai. You arrived here. What happened?
So I came, I got my Airbnb done, and I started doing this. I just showed up. I didn't even know what I was doing. I saw a big, tall building. I'm like, I'm going to park here. I actually got a ticket the first time because I didn't understand how the parking thing works.
They love tickets in Dubai,
man. I know.
They love it.
And I went door to door with this gray beard, with a tie, knocking on doors. Hey, hello, good morning. The cool thing is here in Dubai, everybody's mostly polite. In America, they start cursing you immediately. Get the F out of here. What are you doing? Get out of here. But I came in with a big smile. And my opening line was, I help salespeople make money. That's my job. I train them how to get the customer to buy instead of the salesperson trying to sell. And they're like, how do you do that? I'm like, I don't start with solutions. I lead with questions. For example, if the customer tells you want to think about it, how do you handle that?
I want to pull you back to the part that's gold that you didn't say. You started on floor number 1.
Yes.
Knocked on every door, went to floor number 2, every door. And these buildings are long, man. There's like 20 floors of building.
Absolutely. The first day, maybe in about 4 hours, I did just 2 floors. Because I'll go in, engage somebody, they'll call for the sales manager, we'll talk for a few minutes, then I'll leave. I went door to door. Some people recognize 10X. I always wear my 10X pin. And they're like, oh my God, is that like Grant Cardone 10X? They're like, yeah, it's Grant Cardone 10X. I used to work with Grant. And so door to door, kicked out, don't come back, we're good, call corporate, all these things. Every time I took a business card, I'll send a video. I'll be like, Hussein, it was so nice meeting you. Thank you so much for your time. Even though you're not expecting me, you gave me 3 minutes. Thank you, Habibi. Have a nice day. Sent. 1-2 weeks later on, people were texting me, hey, do you have something on this sales thing? So what looked like a failure in the beginning ended up landing me my first
Lag time. That's the
big
thing,
client.
man. People are like, I knocked on the door, I didn't get it, but it's lag time. You got to do the right thing for enough amount of time.
Yes.
And in like 1 week, you feel like, oh wow, all these deals fell out the sky. They didn't fall out the sky that week. It's lag time.
Yep.
So I want to thank you for that story. I love that story.
Absolutely.
But while you were saying that story, I thought to myself, break down the first 60 seconds of an interaction like that. Obviously, people nowadays are not doing door knocking. They should, if it works for their business model. So, but I'm thinking, like, what does the first 60 seconds of an interaction like that sound like? Or even if it's a cold call.
Yeah.
Because most of the time we all get these cold calls and we hate the hell out of them.
Yeah.
So what is the first 60 seconds of a call where you make customers lean in instead of tell you to get off the phone or leave the building immediately? What does that sound like?
Oh, yeah, absolutely. By the way, when I left, so when I was door knocking, I would door knock on Monday, Tuesday, I would do calls. Wednesday, I would door knock. Thursday, I would do calls. So it was all cold. First 60 seconds is all attitude. All attitude. Thank you for taking, if it's on the phone, thank you for picking up the call. I know you didn't recognize my number, but you still picked it up. I appreciate you. My name is Paul and I do blah, blah, blah. I'll be very brief, right? Just right there. Or I could say something like, do you have 5 seconds? Even though sometimes the 5 second goes negative, where they go, no, I don't, right? But typically I just say, thank you for taking the call. It's all attitude. The words are 30% of the solution. Attitude is 70%. Thank you so much for your time. Even without knowing my number, you took the call. I appreciate you. Thank you. The reason I'm calling you is, right after I do the pleasantries, my next line is, the reason for the call is, then I pitch. And I always pitch with benefits. I'm working with a customer like you, a company like you, and we're doing this kind of numbers with them. Will it be a bad idea if I took 5 minutes of your time and showed you how we're doing it? That's typically the opening line. I'm doing this for a company like you, and we're getting this kind of results. Would you be opposed to looking at it? It'll take 5 minutes. If you don't like me, I'll kick myself out of your office. But if you do, right? So attitude, opening, then relatability. We do this for companies like you, and we're getting these results. Would you be opposed to this? Would it be a bad idea to show you how we're doing it?
The thing is, geniuses like yourself always do things that are so genius, but they don't really know the science. And I am the guy who researches the science. The reason why that's working so well is because of something that Chris Voss talked about. I didn't create this. It's called an accusations audit.
Absolutely. I love Chris Voss.
Immediately, I get the call. I'm like, I don't understand. I don't get this. I don't know who this number is. So immediately I'm thinking, I don't want to pick it up. If I do pick it up, you're going, I didn't want to pick it up. So now you thanked me for picking it up when I was just thinking I don't want to pick it up. And then you're going, I know you don't recognize my number, because I'm like, well, I don't know who this number is. So like now again, boom, accusations audit. So you're disarming the brain. And then also you're working on the benefits, not the features. That's absolutely genius, man.
Thank you, man. But I'm nowhere near genius, bro. Nowhere.
Bro,
I failed.
I think
I scuffed my knuckles, bruised.
we're all,
You know what I mean?
It's not about,
but I appreciate you, man.
Jim Quick says something really powerful. He says it's not about how
I love
smart you
Quick
are, it's
too.
how you are smart. And I think everyone's got their own gift. So,
By the way, I love Voss. I learned a lot from Chris Voss.
one of the first
right
books
now,
I actually read.
Yeah, right now, Never Split the Difference. Yeah, right now it's Cardone, Voss, and a guy called Adam Grant. He's more of a psychologist. Those are the three people I study. Every now and then I jump into Buffett and I study Buffett, and I'm now trying to study His Excellency, His Highness.
How he created Dubai. The vision.
Yes, how he created Dubai.
Yeah.
So those are the people that I
awesome.
study intimately.
Voss, Grant Cardone, and Adam.
Grant.
Adam
He
Grant.
wrote a book called Think Again.
I think again.
Yeah, and it's about just teaching you how to relearn what you think you know. It's brilliant. I'll give you the book. It's brilliant.
Give us some recommendations of some books. I was going to ask this later on towards the end.
Yeah.
Give me, what is a book that changed your view on sales?
Sell or Be Sold, Grant Cardone.
Sell or Be Sold.
Yes.
Okay, great.
Yes, brilliant book, Sell or Be Sold. And it tells you about how sales is a prerequisite of life.
So is that the one that you would recommend someone gets off this and buys immediately?
Buy it right now.
Or is there another? Oh, okay. So that's
Yes.
that's like the primary.
Yes.
Build.
Yes.
That's the foundation.
Yes.
Sell or be sold. Grant
Most
Cardone.
people know the 10x rule, Grant Cardone, right? The 10x rule. But Sell or Be Sold is the book that gives you a foundational background on how to deal with rejection, how to think of sales as a prerequisite to life, right? If you want people to buy into your idea, into your efforts, whether it's at home with your family, or at work or in front of business, you have to know how to get people to buy instead of you trying to sell. And that book is basically a floor map on how to do this. So Buffett's autobiography, Warren Buffett's autobiography, is a great book. Blue Ocean Strategy is a good book. I like those.
These are all great books.
Yes. Grit is a good book.
Who wrote Grit? I forget.
I can't remember her name.
Neither can I. That's a bad thing, isn't it?
Yes. Yeah, but I like Grit as well. Yeah.
I think that, sorry to interrupt you, I think that's a really beautiful, spontaneous thing there. Because it led me to ask myself a question internally. Why can't I remember the author's name of Grit? And I'm sure we'll find it out by the time this goes out. And
you spoke briefly about billionaire, and you're like, you said the name. Do you know this person? And I was like, no, you're
Jamie
like...
Kern Lima.
Yes.
Yeah. I think it's because of emotion. So I want to tie this to a question about logic versus emotional bias. So like it's a great kind of segue to like moving into logical or emotional bias.
Yeah.
So how do you tell who's in front of you and how do you pivot fast?
That's a very good question. It's a very good question. So people buy with emotion, but they take action. They close with logic, right? So both parts are still, you still need to work both parts. People buy because they see it, they imagine the results of it, they imagine what they're going to get from it. But to get them to take action, they have to make sense of the money and that exchange place. Am I getting more than I'm giving up? Right? Am I getting more from this? Is this purchase a cost to me or an investment for me? That could be a question at the close that you could ask a customer. Look, as you think about making this investment, are you looking at this as a cost to you or as an investment to you? Customer says investment. Don't rush. Ask, what's the difference? Make them explain the difference between cost and investment. Then ask, why do you think this is an investment? The more they talk, the more they close themselves. Anyway, going back
so they build up their own little emotional bank account regarding the product or the service
correct
that they're about to invest in.
And then they talk about why it's valuable. Because as the value goes up, the price disappears. If you're not able to bring the value up, the price is always going to be a point of contention.
Yeah.
But if you make people talk, they think. And when you think, you're more invested in the thing. That's why sales is difficult. People are not ready to make others talk and wait and just be quiet, listen, make them talk some more. So emotion and logic. Me, I've never looked to understand another person's personality so I could mirror it. I've never done that. I've always felt like it's too much work for me. You sit like this, I sit like this. You move like this, I move like this. I'm like, dude, what am I? It's always been difficult for me to mirror people. I just ask real common sense questions like, dude, why are we even talking about this? Why is this a point of, why are we here today? Why did you think this was worth it to put aside things you have to do and spend time with me today? They'll tell you. How long have you been thinking about this? They'll tell you. What do you think you've not done to get you the solutions that you want? They'll tell you. What else? They'll tell you. What else? The deeper you go in the probe, the more you get to the real core dominant buying reason. And then you just sit down and listen. The guy speaks 70%, you speak 25, 30. At the end, you're like, what if this never happens? He goes, that would be good. Yeah. Then now he can still go to objections. But I want to think about it. I want to make sure, da-da-da-da-da. Then you could take the person to realize only those who take action get to their destination. So, yeah.
That's really interesting, man. I can't help but go back to what you said there about mirroring and stuff, because it's not that I do this in person, but, in terms of vocabulary and words. So I just want to say something, going back to people's genius. It's interesting. Even when you think you're not doing something, you're doing it because it's a very natural instinct. So there's something...
I agree.
There's something called the 4 levels of consciousness.
Yeah.
I'm just going to speak about 3 and 4. A lot of the times we will mirror people unconscious. It's called unconscious competence. Unconsciously, because we're so connected and we're not trying to work on doing it.
Yeah.
So it's already happening, even if you're not trying to focus on it. I think your transparency and even deep desire to connect just makes it something that's unconsciously, you are naturally unconsciously competent at.
Yeah.
Whereas what you're saying is, I find it really difficult to kind of go back to the gym and do this so consciously now. I'm like looking at the guy's top. Like technically speaking, this is amazing. If the camera is pointing at this thing, my laptop is here. You just put your second hand there. My hand was where your hand was. I'm not doing that on purpose. This is literally the best thing that could have ever happened. We are mirroring each other naturally. Because I'm not trying to act or
when
like
it's natural, I love it.
So it's
when
amazing,
you have to think about doing it, that's when it becomes manipulation.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So that's good. I just wanted to point that out because I like to kind of just point these things out. So then when you were saying that, I was thinking there's a lot of the founder or the CEO, whatever it is, he's forcing now his team to do all these things. And all of a sudden they can't help but try and do this thing like, oh yeah, like let me put my hand where his hand is and all that. If you are that person, that leader, that founder, how do you know if you are the person who's now doing it the right way? And if you're forcing a sale or if you're actually serving or leading your team to serve, how do you know if you're teaching your team to be pushy versus natural or service focused?
I think we all know, man. I think you know when you are not being your authentic self, right? Authenticity is one of the largest forces that radiate in the world. Some people say love. I think when you are you, the way you are, of course, don't be obnoxious. Be able to operate in a social environment in a way that's, civilized. But when you are you, you know when you're being you and you know when you're acting, right?
But so I just like to get things tangible because this could be like up in the air. And it actually reminds me of one of my first guests. His name was Aldi. Go back and watch that episode if you haven't watched it. It's about marketing. So this is actually what I'm asking you in a very tangible manner.
Yeah.
He gave a quote which said, look, great marketing is when you build a garden that attracts the butterfly rather than trying to fly to the thing. So what KPIs are you tracking as a leader that tells you, we're doing it wrong, we're trying to sell rather than trying to create this garden that now is making people want to buy?
Yeah. A very good way to judge this is to see the difference in who's talking in every interaction. If you can record your calls, by the way, you should be able to record every call in your office. Yes, most people use their cell phones, but you should be able to track and record because that's the way. If you don't inspect it, you cannot correct it. If you are making the first engagement with a customer and you are speaking more than 30% of the time, you're talking. You're trying to sell.
So if they're talking too much, or if you're listening to your salespeople or your sales team's calls and they're just talking and waffling and there's some sort of metric out there that apparently your speech rate goes up to like more than 230 words per minute, but I'm not going to quote that because I don't remember it. So you're saying if they start waffling and talking a lot, then slow the hell down, take a step back.
Yes.
Listen.
Salespeople think...
We can talk about the 5 levels of listening. I told you I wanted to talk about that.
Yes.
So basically, you're not really using level 4 or 5 level of listening.
At all. Especially, see, so the sales process is very simple. You greet the customer. Then the way you greet the customer, he gives you permission to understand what he needs. That's the fact-finding phase. When you get data from what he needs, why he needs it now, then you go to show your solution. You demonstrate your solution. When you demonstrate it, this is where you make your money, actually, the demonstration of how you're going to solve their problem. Then you show them numbers. This is what it's going to cost when we get started. Then you close. That's the sales process. Greeting, fact-finding, selection, demonstration, proposal, show your numbers, close. That fact-finding part is the most important part. Because if I don't know
you're only able to do that if I just want to share for someone who's never heard of the 5 levels of listening, because now I'm like, you're only able to do that if you use level 4 and 5. So what are they? Level 1 is if someone's speaking and you're just ignoring them or you're just trying to catch the gist. So this is mostly done if you're scrolling on Instagram or TikTok while you're on a call. Level 2 is you're pretending to listen, but all you're really doing is getting ready to rebuttal.
Exactly.
Like you listen to 3 words and go, I know what I'm going to say, but I'm just going to let him speak.
Right.
Level 3 is where you're selective with what parts you listen to. Level 4 and 5 is where we aim to be. That is where you're attentive. You're like sharing in the emotion. And level 5 is when you're empathetically listening. You're even seeing the world through that person's point of view. And you're making people feel seen, heard, and understood. So going back to what you're saying, you're only able to really get the metrics and the data if you're listening at a level 4 or 5.
That's
if you're
correct.
listening at 1, 2, 3, you got no chance.
And a good way to measure it for a founder or a team leader or a company owner is just to hear how the conversation starts. Salespeople think when they talk, they bring in value, but you're not. Talking is just talking. When you lead with questions, then you get the person to buy in versus you trying to sell. So the guy who's trying to sell is going to be like, blah, 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 blah. And you never get people's attention like that. By the way, money follows attention. If I cannot get your attention, there's no way you're going to give me money. And the only way I can get your attention is if I ask you questions. Because when you talk, you think. And when you think, you're super engaged with me. So if you're measuring this with your team, the rule should be first 5 minutes of the conversation, salesperson speaks for 45 seconds. Customer speaks for 4 minutes, 15 seconds.
And people love to speak about themselves. If you give them a stage.
Dude, it's the easiest hack. It's the easiest thing to do. Just say, dude, nice glasses, Hussein. Where'd you get those?
The funny thing about my glasses is that you did this unintentionally. You didn't know this. But man, a lot of people that know me don't even mention my glasses. I'll talk to you for 5 minutes about why these are from Moscow and why I bought them and why these are not another brand and how they've lasted. I'm like the worst. So yeah, I get it, man. You didn't do it intentionally, but I get it, man. Like,
we haven't planned this, have we?
No. Like,
yes.
People love to speak about themselves.
Always. Everybody.
They love to feel unique and special.
Yes, everybody's there.
And that's why we spend a lot of money. Like, for example, like you said at the beginning, no one needs a certain watch.
Correct.
Because you're trying to gain attention.
Yeah.
So it's spot on, man. That's absolutely spot on.
So that's a good way to gauge it. Shut up. I used to have a paper on my computer. Shut the F up.
And listen,
yes.
Shut up and listen.
STFU.
Yes, shut
and every
up
time
and
I feel myself talking, I'll just be like, quiet, ask a question.
Even me, sometimes, well, I now do this, but at the beginning, I used to talk a lot because I didn't have that much experience. And I was just like trying to oversell it. And it was a lot to do with the lack of attitude.
Yeah.
So what I started doing, actually someone taught me this. I can't take credit. One of my first ever coaches, she's like, listen, just put yourself on mute. Eventually you'll forget that you're on mute. And when you try to talk, you'll just remember you're on mute. Nothing happened. You didn't interrupt the person.
That's a good one. I like that.
So you just put yourself on mute, man. A lot of, even like now, not just on sales calls, like even if I'm serving someone, I put myself on mute because, I mean, maybe even in this conversation, I've strategically interrupted just to make it clear. But there might have been a time where I interrupted because I got a thought and bam, I jumped in.
Yeah.
Where if there was an ability to do an in-person mute.
Yeah, if you're selling me, you probably do that.
Yeah.
Those are the routines again. That's back to the system thing. Where you're doing the same thing. Yes.
Let's do a quick role play. Because I know people are going, oh man, I always listen to these things.
Yeah.
Then a client or a prospect says to me,
I
don't have the money, and then I go blank. And actually, I just remembered you said to me, I think it was beginning today, you said usually you're thinking about them too much, and as a result, you go blank. But if you just decide that to trust or whatever you need comes in, then you'll naturally play. I think that was before this show, but anyway.
Yeah.
So let's do a quick role play.
Okay.
Biggest objection. I'm going to let you choose. What is the biggest objection that exists out there that you've heard?
It's typically price.
Price. Well, it costs too much.
Yeah, it costs too much. Great. I want to think about it.
You're selling a product or service. Let's just talk about, I don't know, these headsets. I love Samsung.
Yeah.
I say, hey, you say to me, hey, do you want to buy these?
You ready? It's going to be 1,000 dirhams. You want to use your Visa or your MasterCard?
Ah, man, 1,000 dirhams. I wasn't expecting that much. 1,000 dirhams, that's a lot. That's a lot.
You're right. It is a lot. I mean, 1,000 dirhams, 1,000 dirhams. It's a lot of money, right? Is there anything else apart from the 1,000 dirhams that concerns you about getting this?
Not really, man. I think that the product is great. The headsets are amazing. I've heard a lot about them.
Yeah. So if you put the money,
1,000 dirhams, I didn't think it would be 1,000 dirhams.
It is. You're right, though. It is. Look, dude, when they gave me the thing and they told me to put the price on it, I was like, 1,000 dirhams is a lot of money.
Yeah, exactly.
It is. I'm with you. Now, you said you like the headsets. What do you like about them?
The thing is, and this is very natural, a lot of headsets say that they're automatic noise cancelling headsets, but they're not. But I used to have the previous pair, and Samsung do it really well, man.
Yeah.
It's automatic noise cancelling.
Okay. So you enjoyed the fact that it was automatic noise cancelling. Right?
Yeah.
What else did you like about them?
They're not like the Apple ones where they fall out of your ear. Once they're in, they don't come out, they don't fall out. You can exercise them. I like to go running, so when I run, they don't fall out my ear.
Yeah.
The previous one I had. I don't know about these ones, but yeah.
I'm with you, man. I run all the time as well. And it's so annoying that every time I do one or two steps, I have to adjust it. So getting getting these headsets, knowing that the noise cancellation is fantastic, they're comfortable in your ear. Is there anything else that if you spend $1,000 on this headset, you will regret?
Would I regret it if I spent it?
Yeah, like what's the worst that could happen if you bought this for $1,000?
$1,000 less, man. Or dirhams, we said.
Yeah.
1,000 dirhams lighter, you know?
Yeah, exactly. That will come out of your
My
bank
pocket,
account.
Yeah, it's going to come out of my bank account,
Yeah. Now, if you get something cheaper and the noise cancellation is not that good, it comes out of your ear all the time. Have you ever bought something cheap and you said, wow, this is fantastic? Has that ever happened to you?
Yeah.
Where you spend less money and you're like, wow, this is wonderful.
Initially.
What do you mean when you say initially?
It's wonderful until it breaks 2 weeks later.
Correct. Is that expensive? Does that cheap make it expensive? Because you try to deny yourself the pleasure of getting the best, and you thought you were getting a deal, but it ended up being more expensive. Did that work for you well?
The thing is, I'm going to cut this short and say wherever you're going with this works, because immediately now I'm like, no, it's not expensive, because at the end of the day, I have to buy the same product 5 times. And at that point, I could have just bought the product once.
Correct.
And then I would have spent the higher. I'll give a real life example.
Yeah.
As a younger guy, I used to love the brand North Face. And I used to buy my coats for a lot of money.
Yeah.
£450, which is like $600. And everyone that met me used to be like, are you stupid? Like, why do you spend so much money?
Yeah.
I went to this shop and I paid $60. And I had all of my North Face coats for like upwards of 10 years. By the end of it, these guys were spending $60. I spent $450. And
you have to worry about it.
I actually ended up passing one of them off to my brother because I left the UK. And it was still in mint condition though. Like no one would believe I'd had it for 8-9 years.
Yeah.
So I'm going to cut you short and say, I know where you're going and this works.
Yep.
Because
cheap is expensive.
I'm going to like answer you from the client's prospect's mind. Yeah, like I can see where this would go.
Yeah.
And say, yeah, like at the end of the day, cheap is expensive. I think that's a nice buzzword.
And that's what I would try to get you to say. Again,
that's where I would have went.
Yes.
That's where I would have went.
Again, we're in a conversation, right? And I'm trying to not so much close you. I'm trying to get you to close yourself. Like just ask.
And I did.
You.
That's why I stopped the whole thing, because
obviously
I want to respect time and I want to make sure we get to our last few questions.
Yeah.
But I was going to sell myself and say, oh, you know what? Actually, that's true. Because realistically, this is a real example. I did buy some Temu, that's not from Temu, but some like headsets from like some budget number, whatever it is, and they like stopped working, they fell apart.
Within a month.
Not even a month, honestly, man. So I get it. So like, yeah, cheap is expensive.
Yeah.
So
basically the end of it is just make the person realize that they're getting a bargain.
Yeah. So let's just kind of like start to put a bow tie on this. I think one last thing, just very quickly. You tell business owners, you don't build the business, the team does.
Yes.
So someone who's listened to the past, whatever it was, 40 minutes, what's the first thing they need to start to do after this conversation they've just listened to? Or what is the first thing they need to start to delegate so that they can build their team to build the business rather than trying to micromanage everything and build that business?
What is the first thing they need to do?
Yeah.
To build the team.
What's the first thing they need to delegate? Start to build the team to grow the business rather than them try and grow everything.
Yeah. So the first thing I would tell an owner to do is to have a consultation with, not a consultation, a chat with their top level managers. If it's just one manager, just ask the manager and be like, what do you believe we're doing here and why are we doing it? If you can get your manager to tell you your vision, you've done a very good job in communicating that to the manager, because you're gonna rely on him to share this with the team. It's all about culture, and the leader is the one who sets the culture. So the first thing you want to do is get feedback on how they understand your goal. What are we doing here? Are we just selling widgets? Are we just selling insurance? Are we just selling sales training? Because for me, my purpose is to impact companies in the GCC, 1,000 companies here and in Africa, to communicate like an expert in a business, professional, and personal setting, so we can spark multiple value-to-value exchanges. everything in my company has to follow this goal. Every way we behave,
Get clear on the vision. And
get
the
clear on the
mission.
vision.
That's the first
And
thing.
don't do it by barking the instruction. Make them tell you what they think is our vision. And then you could correct it if they're off. Once they're clear on that, you can execute.
I love that because it circles all the way back to attitude. You know, if someone can't tell you the mission, they're not bought in on the product.
Correct.
And as a result of not being bought in the product, they can't
Correct.
sell.
Yes.
So it's not about, you know, some fancy trip or tactic or objection handle. So last thing is, what is the biggest hiring mistake that sales-driven CEOs make?
They sell the opportunity way too much. And the same way your customers are going to resist when you try to oversell them is the same way a new employee is going to resist when you try to oversell him. They sell this big picture. I'm constantly hiring for a client right now, and I give them the ugly first, the biggest thing. I give them the bad reasons why they'll quit this job in 3 months, and then they explain to me why that will not happen because their purpose is bigger. Most CEOs oversell the opportunity. You know, you come into this real estate company, we're brokers, we'll give you leads. Look, man, 2-3 deals, you make 800,000 dirhams. You sell one place in Palm Jumeirah, you're gone. You sell one place in Dubai Creek Harbor, everything happens. It's not going to happen the first 2 months, but just keep calling. You'll sell.
The accusation is all again. On respected time, I would have really taken this for another 10 minutes, just about how you do want to tell people, look, here's what to expect. You're probably going to want to quit. It's going to be very difficult. You're going to have to make these dials. You're going to get rejected. And then if at that point they sell to you, they'll start telling you, no, I'm thick-skinned, man. You don't know me. Bam. So we don't have the time to go through this, but I don't want to wrap it up. What is one non-sales school that every closer needs?
One non-sales school?
Skill.
Oh, skill.
Because everyone's going to try and go and buy a sales program or
just
speak to you.
think of service.
What is the non-sell skill?
Think of service, right? Because if I can provide you with service, I'll get the sale. And what's service? Service is just my attention. I want to give you more information, give you more of my time, follow up with you. Follow up is an act of service. It doesn't have to be, are we going to do the business? It could be, do you need help with this? I was working with a customer the other day. He said this. Has that come up for you as well? You could use different ways to be creative in your follow-up. But if you serve with your time, your energy, your effort, your information, you will get it back. It might not come back right away, but this is you planting seeds that would...
So plant the seeds of reciprocation.
Yes,
Paul, man.
And service.
It's been an absolute blast, honestly. And I've learned a lot from you. So for anyone who's listening to this, go and follow Coach Paul Closes on Instagram. He's just starting out on social media. Up until now, he's been busy, crushing it, teaching sales teams all around the world how to serve better. We're not talking about sales anymore, but he's starting off on social media. Go and follow him, Coach Paul Closes. Ask him some questions. He's even got some free resources that he can provide you with. And as for myself, it's been definitely amazing to host Coach Paul, and I look forward to seeing you on the next episode. Stay limitless.